Hi, everybody. Welcome to the training camp wrap-up. I'm Missi Matthews. It's presented by UPMC Health Plan. Mike Prisuta will be joining me in just a moment, but we want to welcome in fresh off the practice field, tight end Pat Freiermuth. And Pat, good to see you out in pads. Good to see a lot of your other teammates on offense. What was this practice like getting reacclimated to being out there?
Yeah, it was awesome. Obviously, going in the huddle for 7 shots and seeing everyone there, it was awesome, and it was good to get everyone healthy.
In 7 shots, you got a touchdown from Kenny Pickett. Take me through that play.
Yeah, so just singled me up outside, and Kenny threw a great ball and made it easy for me to make a play, and it's good to finally get the Pitt and Penn State connection going.
Yeah, I knew you had to go there during this interview. Now, in terms of 2-minute drill, that's how you guys ended. You were with the first team. According to my statistician, Mike Prisuta, you were 3 for 45 yards. How did you guys kind of stall out at the end there?
Yeah, I think just kind of where we were on the field, it was kind of hard to finish that drive. Obviously, when you get like 3rd and 10 and 4th and 10, it's definitely hard. But we just got to capitalize and continue to stay on track.
Lastly, for you, just being a spectator, almost like a coach on Saturday, watching some younger guys go, what's the biggest thing you took away from their performances?
Yeah, I thought they played hard. I thought they played great. Connor in our room made some great plays, and I think overall the team is good, and I think we're in a great spot right now to go forward.
All right, Pat, thanks for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Missi.
All right, as promised, Mike Prisuta is joining me now. And Triv, this was one of those practices. They were in full pads today, and it was great to see so many different things happening. And Freiermuth, as we said, just so many guys being able to come back from injury who we haven't seen, and guys who were starters that weren't playing and practicing a lot.
Yeah, his point really well taken about looking around the huddle and seeing the guys that you expect to see. Let's just run down quickly whom we noticed is back in action today. Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris, Kevin Dotson, Freiermuth, Tyson Alualu, Larry Ogunjobi, Zach Gentry. That is a significant collection now. Still on the outside looking in, watching, not participating, Alex Highsmith, Marcus Allen, Derek Watt, Montravius Adams, Chaz Green, and Benny Snell.
And Benny Snell was able to do a little bit of work on the other field and a lot of times during special teams as well, working with some of the trainers and also ball boys. But Kendrick Green was an in-practice injury. It was the first rep of 7 shots. He came off the field through his helmet. The trainers were looking at his left hand. He went up to the Steelers locker room, came back down on the field, and went back in, and by team run, he was back in there.
Yeah, if you want that job, the first ability you have to have is availability. We're talking about left guard, the battle between Kendrick Green and Kevin Dotson, and Dotson had missed what I'm going to say significant time, not a ton of it, but I think at this time of the year, Missi, when you're in a position battle, any time you miss is significant time because you are opening the door for somebody else to establish themselves. And it's good to see Dotson back today. Good to see Green shake off whatever that was and get himself back in there.
Also, DeMonte KZ was out there. He was somebody that got hurt in game on Saturday. Weren't really sure what the injury was, but he was back out at practice today, But one of the things that I heard down on the field prior to practice starting, sure, was Mike Tomlin reminding everybody during warm-ups, do not warm up to it today. Do not warm up. We got to go. We got to get a lot done. And I kind of did feel that energy from them, and maybe it's because they had the drills that maybe get the juices going a little bit. But coming off of a game, I know they had an off day. They still brought it today.
Yeah, and back in the pads, it was good to see. I think an emphasis for the coach is you get to that first game, and that's kind of another mile marker that you've reached in a training camp. But don't let up now. Keep going forward hard and fast and keep progressing through it. You mentioned the safety, KZ. He was out there in 7 shots. They ran a nickel with 3 safeties, which I found a little bit interesting. Minka Fitzpatrick was more down in the box, closer to the line of scrimmage, and KZ and Terrell Edmonds were the back pair. And also, we saw some dime today, particularly in that first 2-minute drill. And by the way, if I mentioned, there are things in life I enjoy better than a training camp 2-minute drill to close a practice, but there are not many of them. The dime linebacker was Miles Jack, and then you had a secondary that consisted of 3 corners, Akello Witherspoon, Levi Wallace, and Cam Sutton, and then Edmonds, Fitzpatrick, and Trey Norwood as the safety. So starting to expand the packages that they're working on a little bit here. You can tell it's getting closer.
Well, and going back to 7 shots, Minka Fitzpatrick picked off Mitch Trubisky. He was going for Connor Hayward, and I feel like Minka definitely brought his energy today returning here to the practice fields.
Had a would have been sack in 7 shots.
Yeah.
Made that play that you mentioned on the Hayward press. I think that was 7 on 7, not 7 shots.
Okay.
But he was.
I knew he had an interception.
Yeah, he was ever present. Those back-to-back drills there. He was ever present. Trubisky moved the ball, the vast majority of his completions to Freiermuth, as you mentioned, 3 catches for 45 yards. Trubisky ended up 5 for 12 for 57. It was really interesting to me to watch how that ended. It was 3rd and 8 from the 11-yard line, and they try to fade to the corner to George Pickens and Missi. Finally, George Pickens did not come down with a football in the end zone. Real nice play by Kello Witherspoon, knocking that one away. And then 4th and 8, last play, Trubisky tried to hit Deontay Johnson on a comeback to the pylon, and I couldn't tell if Levi Wallace got a hand in or Johnson just didn't finish the catch. But they were very close to scoring that first unit. The second 2-minute, and by the way, the ask was to go 68 yards in 2 minutes with 1 timeout. A touchdown was needed. Kenny Pickett hit his first 3. They got down to the 36-yard line, but on 1st and 10, Kenny Pickett tried to hit Gunnar Olszewski, and Arthur Millette said, no, you're not going to do that. I'm going to take the ball. Interception to end that drive. Pickett 3 for 4 for 32 yards, and the interception. Olszewski 2 catches for 27 yards. Yes, I am the unofficial statistician of training camp 2-minute drills.
Well, speaking of Kenny Pickett and just quarterbacks in general, we saw a little bit of a different order today depending on what drill they were going through.
Yes, but for the most part, it was Trubisky, Pickett, Rudolph. And based on what we saw Saturday night, I cannot say I'm surprised by that. Now, where it goes from here, Mike Tomlin has said they're not going to blow in the wind with it, but he's also been thoughtfully non-rhythmic about changing the order here and there. It's been fun to watch, hasn't it?
Absolutely. It's definitely keeping everyone's interest, to say the least. Somebody we should talk about just a little bit more before we wrap up here is Najee Harris. He wasn't a full participant if you had to, give him one of those designations, but just seeing him out there with pads and running with the first team was good to see after so many, it feels like almost weeks, but it's been probably 10 to 14 days of him working by himself on the sidelines.
Yeah, and we did see him in the 2-minute drill. He was in that huddle that Pat Freiermuth mentioned, Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens. So it was starting to look a lot more the way a lot of us anticipated it's going to look in September. I think that's a step forward no matter what happened.
All right, any final thoughts from today's practice?
No, just to kind of double down on what we talked about. Coming off the game, there might be a tendency to ease off a little bit, but I didn't think they did that today. The number of people they got back is very encouraging, and I love that competition stuff. I just wonder who got the steak and lobster tonight.
I don't know. I feel like with the 2-minute drill, the offense wasn't able to score both times. Don't you have to give it to the defense?
That might do it, although
we might send you to the calf to find out.
From what I hear, the defense won 7 shots too. So if it's a best of 2 or best of 3, the defense wins. If it's 2-minute, the defense wins. If it's 7 shots, the defense wins. So I think by process of elimination, Missi,
the defense.
Hey, offense, no soup for you.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us here on Training Camp Wrap-Up Show presented by UPMC Health Plan and Missi Matthews for Mike Prisuta. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you here tomorrow.